Hello all, welcome to the third episode of the Fastcast. This time around, we've got the whole Emerald Rangers crew, including a new member, the Fenris the Rogue, the Blue Diamond. Yep, we'll get more into that in the recording. Our topic was, is Nintendo overrated? And boy did we go all over the place with that topic. Well, before you leave hate comments, just take note. Any recording review is a matter of opinions, and if you want us to respect your opinion, you've got to return the favor and respect ours. So, not much to say, really. Updates? Yeah, not doing a lot of videos these days, just kind of focusing on the writing on EmeraldRangers.com, and still trying to get these episodes out. It's been a while since I posted, I explained that in the recording up to come, but until then, here it is, with all, 4 of us. Alright, we're back. Whew! Big topic of the day. We got all the Emerald Rangers here. And even our newest one. Start with you, Fenris the Rogue, the Blue Diamond. How you doing there?
I'm doing alright. How are you doing today?
Phew, tired. Man, took us an hour and a half to set up. And, of course, the 2 people from the last 2 episodes are here. From episode 1, there's Retro Kaiser, Dark Rider. How are you? Apparently not in the mood to talk. Apparently not in the mood to talk, so Swingle. Orange Scarab.
Hey, man. I'm doing pretty good.
Hey. Well, shoot. So, I don't know, should we wait for Kaiser or...
I'm here.
You didn't respond, so no, you weren't.
I was waiting for Scarab to respond first.
I said...
He introduced you first. Oh, anyways, move on. Send it, please. Move on.
Whatever. Oh, we'll just get to the point. I'll ask you now, is Nintendo overrated?
Very overrated.
Yes.
And I've got nothing important to say.
It's the topic of the day, Kaiser. Are they or are they not?
Well, in your personal opinion, Mr. Darkman.
Yeah. I mean, like, are you too busy, like, edging in your corner to go, like, oh, it just tears me up inside. Are they or are they not? To be or not to be? Overrated.
Yes, definitely overrated. The fan base even more so.
Well, tell me something. What's something they've done that... tell me what's something everyone says is awesome that you disagree with in regards to Nintendo. For me, that's probably a majority of Mario and Zelda games. Most of them I don't call bad, but I don't, care to play them. Very okay. Hey, speak of the devil. What about you? Anyone?
I don't care for the entire Metroid series.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even Super Metroid?
It has everything to do with the back and forth nature of it. I do not care for, I can easily see there's something that I can do right over there, but I can tell I don't have the equipment for it. I guess I have to go back later. Oh, and by the way, I have to go back later.
Backtracking, yeah.
Yeah, it's very annoying backtracking.
How about you, Fenris?
I would want to say that I don't like the Smash fan base in general. Because a lot of them just, fight each other a lot over so many things. Oh.
They're fighting over a fighting game, though. It makes sense, right?
I mean, if you want to watch 2 grown men yell at each other about if Bayonetta can outclass Ryu or whatever the fuck, no, I don't want to watch that.
Nice.
As someone who comes from the esports fighting leagues, yeah, I hear that a lot over there too.
Oh gosh, we've already touched the fan base.
Well, Kaiser, now you have to give an example.
Oh, but mine's not going to be fully fair because I haven't fully played through the game yet. But I've played through a bit of it, and to me, this game's already incredibly overrated, and that's Earthbound.
Oh,
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
that's a sore spot.
Don't get me wrong, I like Mother 1 and I love Mother 3. It's just Earthbound just doesn't click it for me. That sort of rhymed.
Up the flames, let it burn. Go.
It is sci-fi Dragon Warrior, so I mean I totally know what you're
being silly, and there's no it just felt like things were there silly just sake of silliness. Like there was no what's the word? There was no
connection.
Not connection.
Rhythm.
It's something like context. Something like that. It's a C word.
What?
Anyway, there wasn't enough there to keep me interested. Really, it just felt like
Content? Content?
not content. There's plenty of content there.
For better or worse.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It just felt no. It didn't feel like anything special. It felt a bit bland.
That is scandalous.
It is.
Well, we're in Super Nintendo territory. How many great Super Nintendo games do you still want to play?
Ooh, like that wasn't a good reaction at all.
I,
Sorry. There's a bunch of Super Nintendo games I want to play. It's just when I say, well, if I make it sound like there's no good games on that system.
Well, it does depend though, right? Are we talking about all Super Nintendo games or ones just released directly from Nintendo themselves?
let's just say exclusives to SNES.
That could still mean all the games from the SNES.
Ones that don't have better remakes later on. How about that?
Well, like as an example, Mega Man X, is from the SNES, but it wasn't made directly by Nintendo.
True. X is the Mega Man. Probably one of my favorite Nintendo series.
One game that I still want to play, only because I'm curious to play because it's so damn expensive, is Rendering Rangers 2. That's like a $5,000 game in the world.
Yes, I've noticed something. With retro games, Nintendo games are especially expensive.
Well, are you
Oh, in
really
English
surprised?
territories.
Not really, no, I'm not. I've noticed that because almost every popular game reviewer was a Nintendo kid and still are kind of fanboys.
So a lot of collecting is based off of trending. So when you have a bunch of people you like who are really interested in Nintendo games, then that just drives up the price.
Yeah, like look at that angry video game now. That Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde used to be worth less than $1. Now it's worth $1. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
No, that was a good joke, but we did the appropriate response. So.
Swango, you got any notes you want to share?
Oh yeah, I just didn't know like when we were gonna do like actually like formality like on the conversation point. So, at least here are my talking points as to why Nintendo is overrated, and I'm just gonna go through a single subject, and that is the NES saving the video game industry, and I put air quotes in the middle of that sentence, saving the industry, like when it came to the
I've been looking forward to this.
80s. And the thing I wanted to highlight was that it was a very special time, like during that moment, like between 83 to 85, when Nintendo was getting their wares together. And some unique factoids to mention was that when people talk about the game crash itself, how it went 90% decline in 1 year. One of the things that they forget to mention was that this is based off of expected sales, not off sales, period. And so there was a bunch of games that came out that they released a lot more copies than they should have. And then when they didn't sell, they marked that as against the industry. So when they say it went down 90%, it didn't really go down 90%. It went down 90% of expected sales. I mean, it still went down a lot. It still went down by 60%. So it's still a huge, crash. But like the 90% thing that they mentioned was exaggerated. It was overblown. And something else to mention that's really important is that arcade stores, the industry for arcades went down 10%, barely 10%. So it wasn't really a crash. It was just a console crash for that year. So Nintendo didn't save anybody. That's the point I'm trying to make. They didn't save the industry. And then another fun factoid was that in between the American to Japanese wages, there was about a 40% difference. It's like around 37% difference in average wages when it came to software engineers, which is what video game companies are labeled under. And so they had a massive price difference in employees, so their overhead cost was much lower. They were allowed to take more risks, and also the Japan as a whole, when it came to that time period, they were basically like China, as they are now. Because like I'm not sure, we're gonna date this podcast, I guess. But like how like in the news, like it's often like reported that China steals about like $500 billion worth of technology every year, like from patents and copyrights and trademarks and such. Japan was almost like identical with how much they were stealing from other nations. In particular, America's semiconductor industry. So they had all the technology to build this equipment, the Famicom, and they didn't have to put in nearly as much overhead with research and development. So they pretty much stole their way into making the NES, and then afterwards, Japan's banking system was so fraudulent, where they were cooking the books, that the property of certain locations was 350 times the price of Beverly Hills at the time. Yeah, certain
Damn.
land masses were worth 350 times that amount as the equivalent of Beverly Hills, which is a very expensive location in California. So like they were just they were going nuts. Like it was so extravagant, like how badly that they were purposely lying to people financially, and they were covering a lot of businesses as well. Like Mitsubishi did the equivalent of like going bankrupt like 4 times over during the crash in the late 80s. Because what I mean, though, right? With how like General Motors and Ford, how they got bailed out and stuff like that. Imagine that happening about 4 separate times for Japan, where they got bailed out. So they that's how much they were being financed. They were being covered. The same thing happened to Nintendo and Sega. Sega later, when they started getting popular. But like they basically were paid just to take over the video game industry. It was the biggest monopoly scam, like almost ever in regards to video games. So for them to like, oh, they just came out of nowhere and it was just hype train. It's like, nope, not at all. It was 100% planned.
Monopoly, that's one fun fact a lot of people like to just calmly brush over. The NES is a legal monopoly on third-party games.
I mean, there are the thing is, though, like a monopoly is when you force them to not allow competition, and they did not force them to choose the Nintendo or like the Genesis or something like that. You could still make a game on the TurboGrafx. However, it was a technical monopoly. That is true. It wasn't a real monopoly. It's like someone saying Steam was a monopoly. They're technically a monopoly, but they're not really one.
Now, was a little. If you made a game on another system, it couldn't also be on NES.
Okay, then that is monopoly behavior. So you're right.
Yeah, that was the rule Nintendo had with third party for the NES. If your game wasn't exclusive to the system, it couldn't be on it at all.
Wow, they're even shadier than I thought. And I thought I thought I did my research on it. My bad.
That probably
A lot of
explains
Nintendo fans like to mention that, just like, which wasn't technically legal. Moving on.
Yeah,
that probably explains why Metal Gear on PC was a much different game than Metal Gear on NES. Same goes with Castlevania.
Hideo Kojima didn't like the NES Metal Gear. He said he couldn't even beat it. And Metal Gear wasn't even in that game.
So yeah, those are some of my fun factoids. I also have one more I'll share. Then after that, that's my position about how overrated Nintendo is.
Well,
the last one is they had 2 full years of releasing games in Japan before they released it in America and also in Europe. So they had 2 years of development time to present the best games from those 2 years of development. No console in the history of ever has had that much luxury when it comes to porting great games to like a high target market.
Well, I guess if you want some structure, we'll go system to system then. You mentioned the NES a lot, so
Well, I to me that was like the biggest contention, of how why Nintendo is so amazing, right? Is that like they re-kicked the industry back up, but
Mm.
I presented like at least my evidence that I don't believe that's the case at all. Everything else, um, I like the SNES, I like the 64. I'm not a complete hater of things. It's just mostly that. That's the only thing that I really give a hoot about.
The NES itself is actually a very poorly put together system. It's difficult to find a working one. Have you noticed? Like
Yes.
even if it does work, you gotta clean it a lot.
I've noticed that I've got better chances of finding working second-hand 360 systems than I do a working NES.
That's scandalous right there.
Mm.
I mean, like the problem is because it's a contact pins. Most people had dirty pins, and so they made their consoles dirty on the inside instead of cleaning them on the outside like they normally are supposed to. There was very bad instructions in the manual. That's like the biggest negative I could say.
Some say
Doesn't
the
have it.
NES started the whole blowing in cartridge phase.
Mm.
Now we've all done it. Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I still do it to this day.
Yeah, so do I.
Though every game retailer will tell you not to because your moisture could damage the pins or whatever.
Yeah, but Nintendo also forbade people from cleaning the cartridges with rubbing alcohol themselves when they and told people to like buy their official cleaning kit, which was the exact same thing they told you not to wash it with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the products could be damaging. Some say that speed board for NES controllers, it's extremely hard to get a controller out of it without splitting it in half. You never had the speed board? It's that plastic, you snap it in so you play with your fingertips instead of thumbs.
No, I've never seen that.
I thought you were talking about that thing you stepped on and you rolled around on it. Like one of those
No,
exercise machines.
no.
I know what you're
Although-
talking. Isn't that the roll rocker or whatever the heck that was
Yeah, I
called?
think
Yeah.
yeah, that.
Yes, it
Oh
was.
God.
Anyone ever use a rolling rocker?
No, but I used something similar on the PlayStation. Actually, it's not that similar. It was a skateboard controller I used to play the Tony Hawk games, which was terrible.
Oh gosh.
Rolling rocker, you had to plug your controller into it to use the buttons from it, so you're still holding the controller while using it.
It's pretty bad design because you could just like fall face first near your TV where you're trying to fucking control stuff.
It's also not very responsive. Anyway, I'm gonna put this picture here. That's the speed board. If y'all want to look at that,
Oh.
Ooh.
That's
it's just a
What-
hunk of plastic, and getting controllers out of it is very hard without breaking
Yeah.
it.
Hey, I've seen one of those secondhand before, and I was like, why would anyone want this?
It's a speed plank. You also could play upside down. You could play in space.
Did
You
you?
can play underwater.
Well, look, me to the point here. How about the games? The NES games. Some of them are quoted as some of the greatest video games of all time. Mainly Super Mario Brothers 3 and Zelda.
Man, this is turning into a hate fest. That I really did like Mario 3. It is one of those games like where to me there's only like 3 out of the 8 worlds that are like fun to experience, and then the rest are just more of, hey, here's some hard stuff for you to deal with. Like I liked World 1. I liked the big world. That's what everyone likes. I think it's like World 5 or whatever. But and then
I thought the big world was Super Mario World.
no, they had it in the third one.
Oh, so they just reused it.
Yeah, because it was a fan favorite when it came
They
out.
also reused it in Mario 64.
They did? Oh yeah, yeah. Mario
Kinda,
64
yeah.
had that world you could go into, normal, small, or big.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like there's things I like about it. I also liked the boss battles. Like that was kind of cool. I mean, they were simple, but I liked the idea of them.
I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but I believe that Super Mario Bros. 3 had the weakest of all the Bowser fights.
That is
Ooh.
true.
That's implying the others are good.
Exactly.
Oh,
The first Super Mario Brothers was just run past him 8 times with more hammers each time, I guess.
technically, you're running past these minions disguised as him. Yes.
Yeah, that was actually a glitch that when you took him out with fireballs, he turned into one of the minions, and they just covered that up by saying, no, it was just the minions in a disguise. Yeah, that's a true story.
Yeah. They also try to cover up that all the mushroom people got turned into the bricks, and every time you smash on a brick, you're killing one of the people of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Wow.
That's official. That's in the manual. That's
Yeah.
fact.
Yes, Super Mario Brothers. That is the iconic game, like Swingle said, just credited for rebooting gaming.
And going back to overrated Mario games, how about Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, right?
No, no, gosh, the quote unquote real Super Mario Brothers 2, that game is terrible. It trolls you. Like, you'll go into a room with a warp pipe to World 1 and you can't leave said room, and if you go down the pipe, it restarts the game.
Watch our Let's Play if you want to see more on that.
And also, the Doki Doki Panic was actually designed off originally a Mario game. That's fun trivia.
That's an underrated Mario game.
Probably my favorite on NES was Mario 2. First one has not aged well for me. It's just kind of there. Any
What we're
comments?
on about again?
Yeah, NES games. Come on.
Some of my favorite NES games are actually stuff that Nintendo actually didn't bother porting to English, like the Fire Emblem games and Mother.
I love Fire Emblem.
hmm
You guys have
Like,
you guys have NESs as little ones?
I
Yes,
did,
I
yes. Yes.
It's
We
still
do
my
like 3 of
cousins
them.
did.
Yeah, I think I got one in a secondhand bin. Had 3 games: Super Mario Duck Hunt and Jackal. Not sure how that happened.
I got very lucky, and in progression from like 6, 8, and 10, I got the NES, the Genesis, and the SNES as hand-me-downs from other families.
Oh gosh.
So, yeah, I'm very diversified in my opinion about hating things.
hmm Anyone actually a fan of the original Zelda?
No.
Who is,
Yeah.
to be fair?
Pretty much every reviewer on YouTube that call it a masterpiece.
Yeah, okay.
It's not.
Yeah.
No.
I also enjoy randomly bombing places just to see if there's a secret that's required for me to find.
And I also like being difficult to fight because you can only stab forward.
It's
That
one of those
that
games
wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad.
that's also one of those games that didn't transcend well to like Virtual Console era or secondhand mode because you really need the map to know what you're doing in that game.
Yes. That was also a problem with the original Metroid, was it didn't have a map.
Yeah,
Well-
I never even got to the first dungeon in the first Zelda because I just kept going to a different dungeon and it's like, oh, where do I actually start this game?
I think the first thing you do is go down that hole and get a wooden sword.
Well, I mean, the wooden sword, I got that, but you know what I mean, though, right? Where it's just like, where the hell is the actual like first place I can go to? Because I'm keep getting like blocked off by stuff.
Yeah, I was watching some popular YouTubers let's play it, and they had the whole game memorized from childhood, so obviously they didn't address that issue.
Yeah.
And for me, honestly, Zelda 2, I want to say Zelda 2 is actually better than the original one, but it was still handled. It still could have been way better. Like, I actually played a fan remake of the second one years ago where they made it into like a first-person adventure game. And I'll tell you what, now I sound like Hank Hill now. Boy, I'll tell you what. What was that, Mr. No, that's not Hank Hill. That's Anderson from Beavis and Butthead. No, it wasn't. No, that blood. I'm forgetting it now. But anyway, I played a fan remake of Zelda 2, but they did it in the first person perspective. And I tell you what, I'm doing that again. But anyway, that game plays very well as a first person game. Like, it's actually made Zelda 2 much more like a traditional Zelda than could have been a really darn good game. Instead, they tried to make it a rip-off of the Tails games. Not Tails from Sonic, but the
Tales
Odd
of,
series.
yes.
Yeah.
I kind of like Zelda too, even if I had no idea where to go. That seems to be a theme.
Get lost.
I'm not really a fan of Zelda in general, to be honest. I got super into the Oracle Seasons and Ages on Game Boy Color, and I saw a screenshot for another Game Boy Color game, and it looked exactly the same, and I said no thanks. Why does everyone excuse that? How every Zelda game is the same? No, you only compare Zelda to other Zelda. No, that's not a good policy at all.
One thing I don't like about Zelda fans is they say Zelda's not an RPG. I'm like,
It's listed on. Yeah,
I'm,
I'm on this
I'm
thing.
sure it doesn't have the traditional level up systems, but you look at it, it's a fucking RPG, man. You're going around on an epic quest. You're doing all this. Well, actually, I'm not doing good examples. I'm making it sound less like an RPG now.
You get stronger as you progress. You get more attack, more health. and you can't do the end stuff because you're not strong enough yet.
It's got everything about the RPG minus, pretty much level up your stats by grinding.
Zelda 2 had that. I'm on this
Ooh.
list, and Metacritic has listed the Ocarina of Time as the greatest game of all time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to offend even the Zelda fans, because we all know a lot of the Zelda hipsters probably think Majora's Mask is the best one. Where for me, honestly, my favorite Zelda games are always the handheld ones, like Link's Awakening, the Seasons game, the one with the cap that makes you shrink, Minish Cap.
Yeah.
And not to mention, Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time are on the handhelds now too.
Yeah, 3DS.
And same with the Super Nintendo one and the NES one. Pretty much
Oh,
most
really?
of the Zelda games. Awesome.
You're just realizing this.
I'm not just realizing, I'm remembering, but you can pretty much play all the Zelda games and the good ones on the handhelds.
Oh no, you can't say the good ones because that's offensive.
I'm already triggered. I mean, anyways, yeah. I mean, I'd honestly say the same thing. I think Link's Awakening was at least the best one in regards to actually informing you what to do. You don't really need the manual at all for that game. And it's also pretty straightforward. You don't have to worry about any I have to play part 1 or to play part 2 and all that kind of stuff in order to really get the full cinematic experience.
It's save Zelda again. I think at one point
the cinematic experience.
I think at one point she'd increase her security or something.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a common theme with Nintendo games. Save the girl.
Yeah, but it's totally not sexist. What else you got in notes, Swingle?
Oh, that's really it. I mean, there's other things, of course, that they've never really done any innovation whatsoever. They've taken risks, but they haven't actually invented anything by themselves.
Yeah, you said post-recording they've stolen everything.
Yeah, I said that in the NES spiel thing. They pretty much stole everything. Every single unique idea that is credited to them is something that has been done before in other fields and also in other games.
Like the NES controller, they totally took it from the Atari Paddle controller.
Did they? Huh.
Or it could be wrong. Oh no, I'm doubting myself.
Well, for me in particular, I'm referring to something like the Wii, where the infrared sensor bar has been utilized in many games in the arcades, from the mid '90s. Most notably,
the
Virtual
Glove.
Golf.
What?
Power Glove.
What'd you say, Kaiser?
When he was talking about infrared bars, I said, and they also did it for the Power Glove.
Oh, the Power Glove. Yeah.
So it's just something where they just wanted to throw it out again to try and see if it will stick. And then apparently, Granny loved it, so that's why people got the Wii.
The Wii was the cheapest of the new consoles when it came out.
That too.
It was that's the system everyone wanted at first and no one wanted in the end.
Isn't that still the highest selling console of all time?
I think that's still PlayStation 2.
And it's kind of like when someone says the PSP is the highest, is one of the highest selling handheld consoles. It's technically true, but there was 4 to 5 years of that system's life cycle where it was $100 in comparison to the normal $250 price tag, and they counted those sales.
And when you also mention highest selling handheld console of all time, there's really not that many mainstream handheld consoles anyway.
Actually, the Wii is the 5th best-selling console of all time. It goes PS2, the regular DS, Game Boy/Game Boy Color, PlayStation 1, then Wii. So, Nintendo's on there 3 times.
And
not one Genesis. So, fast forwarding, let's go to N64, since nobody had anything to say about Super Nintendo.
It had some cool accessories. I loved the Super Scope, and that was about it.
Okay, I'm going to say this now. Super Mario 64 has not aged well.
Ooh.
Hate.
Burn the witch!
I'm serious. You play it now, the cameras are not good, and there's a lot of times you can accidentally slip out of a stage and just get ejected. And several missions have you going down the same path over and over again. Yeah, let's all go silent because we just realized
True. It's true, but I still have fun doing it, damn it.
Yeah. You know what I never liked is that there's no real reward for 100%ing.
Nor is there any real punishment for getting game over.
No. In Super 64, 100% you get to go to the roof and talk to Yoshi, and he maxes out your lives. Because, lives for all the stuff left to do.
Some that I really didn't care for was like the other half of the game,
Which
like
half?
the worlds, like the second half of all the worlds. I didn't like any of them. I loved the bomb worlds, and that's about it.
You
I
didn't?
in the snow worlds because of the penguin race, but everything else I thought it was very lazy design.
I like the penguin because you can cheat in it, and it got funny dialogue. That big penguin would call you out for cheating if you went down that secret tunnel.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of a lot of the first party Nintendo games where when I played it in the past, I played it because that was the only game available. And then like, after I came back to it later, I go like, wow, I'm glad I have other games because I would have quit like halfway through, easily halfway through. I would have quit the game
Well,
like just in rage.
here's the $1,000,000 question: is there any not first party game on N64 you still love? I can list
Oh, dude,
Banjo-Kazooie!
there's
Banjo,
tons.
Banjo
Like,
Kazooie, Contra, and Jet Force Gemini.
I mean, we're like if we're just talking first
Contra.
party, first party is so like I mean that's the issue, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the first party games, I think we're all in agreement that like the first party Nintendo games, like for every console, had massive flaws to
Well,
the
yeah.
point where like they're not the game that sold the console to you. It was everyone else. Cause like I mean like Geomon the Mystical Ninja, I mean that was great on the 64. Like
Yeah.
Except Pokemon Stadium, that was awesome.
okay. Yeah, we'll give
Yes.
Yeah.
That game has not aged well, by the way.
Which one?
Pokemon Stadium.
I like 2 better, honestly.
Yeah, but they still
Have you seen the bloody stats in Pokemon Stadium? Like, you get your whole party wiped up by a Pokemon level 20 because they know a move that flinches you every single time.
What move?
This could just be the Japanese version, but 'cause I can't read Japanese yet. But
Okay, to
I,
be
I
fair,
lost
there
I
wasn't
lost to
really-
a bloody level 20 Nido Queen, and I don't think you can get a level 20 Nido Queen in the main games.
Well, obviously you were. Well, I think you can because it's a Moonstone evolution.
Okay, probably.
Well, to be fair, that's more of Gen 1 Pokemon mechanic flaws than Pokemon
Mhm.
Stadium itself. In one where they're still discovering new glitches, like how Body Slam cannot paralyze a normal type if used by a normal type.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that's one they just discovered recently. So come on, what were those games you were going to list?
Oh yeah, the main reasons why I got a Nintendo 64 back in the day was for 2 games. That was Super Mario 64. Yes, I know that's a first party one. And the other game was Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Mortal Kombat.
Even though the PlayStation version's better.
Anyone else have an N64 story? What do you think of it as a console? How about that?
I had good
Well,
memories with it, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, the controller doesn't make much sense.
Oh god, no.
They had some pretty decent sport games, in spite of the controller. Like Ken Griffey Jr.'s baseball game, the home run derby. That actually was pretty good.
Seems to be good if you don't let Nintendo do it.
I've got a good question. Why on earth does every second-hand Nintendo 64 always come with a copy of 1080? That seems to be in the Nintendo law. Every second-hand Nintendo 64 must come with 1080.
I don't
A
know.
snowboarding game.
A lot
Well,
of old sports games they just try to get rid of, to be honest.
But anyway, going back to the controller. The controllers, I actually didn't have a problem with the controllers. That was until Mario Party came out and everyone wrecked the shit out of every single controller.
Yeah, I fucked my palm up with playing that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The Shy Guy.
They had to give away free gloves because of that. Mario Party gloves.
it was the first control that I ever got blisters on.
Because people started spinning it with their palm. I was the weird kid that just used their thumb. when
I
playing
used my
those
thumb,
games.
but I literally got a blister on my thumb, like when I did it. So like even using it as intended, it still hurt.
And here's another good point. When Nintendo switched to the C stick, that made like a lot of their Nintendo 64 games pretty much impossible to port over to the future consoles because the C buttons. Because have you tried playing Killer Instinct with the C stick? It's impossible because all the moves are marked to the stick, so you can't hit bloody combos correctly.
What? You got an N64 games on the GameCube?
I played it on a modded Wii.
Killer
And a lot
Instinct.
of those Nintendo 64 games do not work on modern consoles because of that reason.
Well, let's say N64 also used cartridges, which pretty much hurt their third-party support a lot. cartridges were about $1 something each to produce when a CD was about a dime. And also held a lot more memory on a CD.
Hey, look at the bright side. Less load times.
Dun dun dun. Actually, that was kind of funny. Like, what was it, Paper Mario? When you enter a building, the walls just fall down because it doesn't got a load.
Yeah.
Yeah. But tell me, do you think these games really should still be ranked in the top greatest of all time? Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time?
Oh, definitely not. No. There's much better games out there.
I'd say Mario 64 would be marked as one of my favorite games, but best technically, there's better ones out there.
Yeah. Well, moving on. GameCube. Those got a
Ooh.
story.
That was the first console I ever bought with my own hard money.
Hard money, huh?
It was the first console. It was the first console that I ever saw was doing so poorly in sales that they actually advertised it routinely.
Yes, I've noticed that too back in the day. Like at launch, no one was buying it, and then EB Games over here started packaging it with Metroid Prime. Like the way they did it, I know there's Metroid Prime bundles, official ones, but the way they did it here was they just took the box and they just sticky taped the case of Metroid Prime to the box and hoped people would notice. And even then, people are still buying PlayStation 2s.
It is true though that like to me like throughout the entire my lifetime of watching like TV with like video game stuff related, like there was never a console where they just actively bashed it. We're saying like, oh, by the way, this console ain't doing so great, and now you can pick it up for $100 brand new.
That's
like
how I remember it
but that's what I remember the most about it, because like I was it's like oh, here's the weekly price trends for the GameCube, because it just keeps going down and down and down.
And then Smash Brothers Melee came out, and that was the end. When I got a GameCube, it came with Super Mario Sunshine packed in free, and a coupon for another free game. We got Animal Crossing, so that was like $100 free right there.
I do remember, because like my brother Scott bought the GameCube, and then I picked up a few games just like so we can have something to play, and there was almost nothing exclusive to the GameCube, and also even the stuff that was exclusive to the GameCube was nothing that I gave a single hoot about. Like maybe Rogue Squadron, because I'm not completely a platformer kid. I do like to have variety in game genres. So it was enjoyable doing that. But hey, here's Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. It's like, well, I already have a PS2 and I can get it there. But I got the GameCube edition because it was like $5, and then the PS2 edition was like 15, at the time, because they were giving the games away. It was that bad of a console.
It did have
And for me, the ironic thing about when I got the GameCube was I was getting it for the Sega games, because some really good Sega games being released for that system.
Yes.
Like some real good ports of like Crazy Taxi, Billy Hatcher, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 was on that system. And this is the moment that made me cry. This is the moment when I realized that I lost the Sega Nintendo war was I walked into a Kmart one day and me and my dad saw Sonic Mega Collection, and we're like, Sonic on a Nintendo console? Oh.
Okay, to be fair, Sony knocked Sega out of the race, not Nintendo.
I know, but that still didn't help ease the pain. But what I'm going with, I bought a Nintendo system mainly for the Sega games.
Yes, my favorite time on there was probably Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, especially the Chow Garden.
But one brilliant thing, because I don't believe the GameCube's a bad console. Far from it. It just wasn't a high-selling one. But one of the brilliant things about that console was that it did come with it did have a Game Boy player for it, which that's the version of the GameCube I got, the one bundled with the Game Boy player. And even then, I did notice that was ridiculously cheap. That was only like $300 Australian, which is like, I don't know, about $150.
People still use that Game Boy player to record Game Boy Advance and back games.
It's great. And even then, I bought all the Sega Game Boy games for it.
Which is another.
It also had the great enhancement edition of Skies of Arcadia, so that was cool.
Here's a $1 million question: GameCube or Dreamcast?
Why not
I did
both?
not either, so I can't make that distinction.
The Dreamcast controller was too big for me. It was very awkward, so I never liked it.
I actually love that Dreamcast controller, but there actually are people that make adapters to use PS2 controllers on the Dreamcast.
Nice. I mean, like I really liked a lot of the games for the Dreamcast. It's just like I said, like when I played Fur Fighters, oh man, look out! I had a good time, but
Oh,
but it was the controls that really stopped me from
I
wanting to
think
get
you
that
could use a
system.
keyboard and mouse on the Dreamcast too, because the
yes,
Saturn.
you could. That was for Fantasy Star Online.
Yep.
What Saturn had a mouse and a keyboard
Yeah,
in
it did.
Japan.
Oh no, you can get them here.
Oh,
The Saturn stuff is here. It's just sold so badly they're super rare. But the Saturn
okay.
keyboard, you could hook it up to a computer if you got
Hey,
one of those old ports.
I remember when the PlayStation first launched. I remember one of the accessories for that being a computer mouse, and I'm just like, me and my family were like,
Hey,
why use a computer mouse when you got a controller?
there's a
Doesn't
fun.
the GameCube have a mouse and keyboard thing?
Does it?
But
It's got a
Yeah.
keyboard that is also a controller,
yes,
like a super
It's
wide,
big.
which I dubbed the surfboard GameCube controller. So it's big.
Huh. Ew, I see it. Huh, it kind of looks like the Wii U gamepad.
Well, was that though an accessory for Fantasy Star Online
Yes,
when
it
it was
was.
ported?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I was just trying to make sure if like that was like played for other games besides just Fantasy Star.
Oh,
You
it
could
was
use it
also
for other
used
games.
it was also
Okay.
used for the action replay as well, which I bought back in the day because it came with the freeloader option. Which, yeah, that's the thing I like about the GameCube. There was a disc that you can buy on the market that allows you to play games from other regions
no.
pretty easily. Like other consoles did have it, but they required like weird warranty breaking things in order for them to work properly.
Mhm.
Whereas the GameCube was just simply put in a disc and swap it out with another one. So it's very import friendly.
GameCube. I think its biggest flaw was the little discs, which only held like 1.5 megabytes as opposed to, or gigabytes as
yeah,
opposed to the 5 that the DVDs held.
Yeah, it was roughly 1.8, and then the DVDs are 4.2.
Yeah. Which was more than the Dreamcast, but not as much as the Xbox and PS2.
It was often the case where the GameCube had 2 discs for a lot of their ports.
But they did get Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes randomly.
Yeah, that was
I think the
was
story
strange.
was one representative just happened to be eating lunch with another and said, "Hey, why don't you make this for GameCube?" Sure, okay. It was weird because the GameCube doesn't have that feature where how hard you push the button register, so you had to hit a separate button to lower a gun.
So I'm pretty darn sure that we could just skip the Wii U entirely.
The Wii U's
It's a great Netflix device, but
the Wii U has Mario Maker. That's its one thing.
yeah.
All the other good games on it got ported to Switch, except for Star Fox Zero, which nobody liked, but I did.
And then of course the Wii itself, which is the waggle console. If you love waggling, especially like if you just love hurting your arms like while you play games, then you love the Wii.
Best games on Wii were the ones that didn't use its main feature, the motion controls.
Yes, exactly. I mean, to be fair, there's one game that I liked, like literally just one game that I liked that used the Wiimote, and that was the Dragon Ball Z port for the Wii,
You mean
because you actually legitimately could do the Kamehameha.
You mean
and then you'll
Tenkaichi
actually do
3?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on PS2 as well, but the Wii had online play, I think. That's weird how the Wii got ports with along with the PS2 while the PS3 was out.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need to skip the Wii though. We can talk about Galaxy, which is still ranked as Galaxy 2 and 3, or 2 and 1 are both on this greatest games of all times lists by Metacritic. I think they're number 6 and 5.
Oh, the Super Mario Galaxy games. Yeah, they're full of it. They're just flat out.
Yep, here it is. Number 6, Mario Galaxy 2. Number 5 is Galaxy 1. Which is interesting because most Mario fans say 2 is better. That actually played them. And also, I played about a half an hour or two of Galaxy, and I could not stand these motion controls and just stopped.
It does have a neat feature for having babies be involved while playing Super Mario Galaxy. So I mean, I guess that's great.
What?
Well, because the second player just moved the little cursor around to pick up stars. Like they didn't actually participate, so you could have like a 4-year-old play with you.
Yeah, but you needed the Wiimote to jump. You couldn't use a classic controller with it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but to me, I guess that's the highlight. Like everything else, I don't understand.
You have to shake the mote to spin Mario, and you got to do that regularly.
Yep. Well, like I said, at least you're getting an exercise. Like that's like something that was always a joke to me
You're
was
getting carpal
those.
tunnel is what you're getting.
Yeah, but like for like the Wii itself, like they had several exercising games, and it's just like, dude, like if you're just playing an actual like Wii game, you're getting your exercise, like no matter what. Like you're
Actually,
moving your arms around, you're like you're sweating bullets, especially depending on how fat you are. Um,
those fitness games have been around before the Wii. Like even
but there were
that,
so many of them
there
over
was
the
one on
Wii.
the original Xbox that was basically just a workout video with a 3D model instead of a real person. That twitched a lot.
We're talking about the Wii Fit now.
Yeah, we're talking about the Wii while you were
It's
gone.
it's just funny. I've been watching like videos about this guy going through like secondhand shops in Japan, and every time he goes to like the junk section, it's full of like wall to wall with copies of Wii Fit.
Yeah.
They're not selling. Still a few of
No.
this. There's so many bad third-party games on the Wii. So many crummy mini game collections.
I will be impressed if someone can give me like a top 50 of like legit good games for the Wii.
Ooh, I'm gonna search that. Benris, you own a Wii? Any memories of it?
Nope.
Never.
Like I had like my parents were like, okay, so we can only buy you one console, and this is all you're getting. So I didn't even get a 3DS until 2013. I had a Game Boy though, Game Boy Color.
Nice.
Well, at least you didn't pick the Game Gear. As much as I love that thing. Here we go. 100 best Wii games that will make you addicted.
Nice. Such a lie. I mean, like I have about like 20 games, maybe 25 games for the Wii, and that was just like stuff where because of personal taste, like all of the Skylander games. And
I like how
Alien Syndrome was actually pretty good. Like the Wii remake. Yeah, that was actually pretty decent.
by the way, I like how that list you just mentioned, Cinnamon, makes it sound like an energy drink. And trust me, I do not want my lips anywhere near a drink called Wii.
Oh gosh. Okay, let's see. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles: My Life as a King. My gosh, that's a long title.
That's a bad game. They're lying.
A weird NBA Jam game in 2010. Guitar Hero, Bit Trip, Void, Rock Band, Toki Tori.
Void.
Half
all
of
the
those are on
bits
other
that-
consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing did not say exclusive, sadly. Oh, here we go.
Anyway.
Number 93, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure.
Yeah.
But anyway, my story when it came to the Wii was it came out in 2006, didn't it? Around Christmas time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when I remember getting mine because I remember getting mine because I wanted to get it for Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which I also had pre-ordered on GameCube, which I did get as well. And I also got it for WarioWare. And then I did notice I noticed my attention to that system was sharply dropping because then I bought Super Paper Mario. Then I got rid of it as soon as I beat it. I was like, wait a minute, I don't normally do this with a Nintendo system. I don't normally get rid of a game as soon as I beat it. Then I got Metal Slug Anthology, did the same thing. Then I just noticed that I just lost interest in the darn thing and moved on to PlayStation 3.
I actually had got a Wii on its launch day. My dad and my brothers, we were waiting in line outside the Best Buy. That was before Best Buy became scary, with salesmen around every corner bothering you.
Boy, bastard.
I'll say this, the Wii Sports was a big hit at the retirement homes. I saw this interview about this old guy who played like 800 consecutive Wii bowling games and documented all his scores. He got perfect games like hundreds of times in a row.
Oh man.
Did he use the cheat at the end?
No, he documented them on a little notepad too. He had no computer. I got Twilight Princess. It was way too easy, and also I didn't like they made Link right-handed in it. That was just a personal gripe of mine.
Although, judging by the Wii and how easy it was to get crap onto that system, it does make me a bit worried for the Nintendo Switch because I have noticed that it is quite easy to get like third-party games on the Switch. I have noticed that a good chunk of them aren't very good, so I am worried that the Nintendo Switch is also going to be one of those shovelware field consoles.
I noticed on the GameCube nobody mentioned Mario Sunshine.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's not the best, but it's
just
playable.
Well, I've got one major complaint. The Shine sprites don't do anything.
Oh no!
It's the main focus of the game.
No!
Progress the story, you gotta complete specific missions. all those hidden shine sprites do nothing. They make the screen a little brighter for like the first 20 or so, and that's it. You don't unlock anything. Get 100%, you get a postcard. That's it.
That makes Yoshi sound more rewarding.
It's a major flaw, game flaw. And a lot of people just say, oh, that's a bummer. Well, that in every stage is a beach. Anywho, back to
Life's a beach, Sendu. Life's a beach.
Of course it is. Well, back to the Wii. You tell me, what are some of the worst Wii games you've played?
Ooh.
That's a loaded question.
I think I quit the console before I could play all the crap games.
Super Paper Mario, that's one.
Oh gosh, bullets fired.
Well, the reason why, like, it takes like about an hour and a half to get through the intro, I know because my niece, who was like 5 years old at the time, wanted to really badly play it, and I had to imitate all the voices for all the characters just to keep her interested.
And you're not gonna like this, Swingle.
Blah.
Because I saw a point in the game where it can brick your console.
Oh wow.
I believe it got patched out fairly early, but if you get the basic disc edition without patching, and there's a point where it will, brick and kill your console. I don't know about the kill part, but I know it will brick it.
Nintendo tried that once. They released an update that tried to brick every console with the homebrew channel.
Yeah.
But it affected more than just them, and that was a mess. Isn't it hilarious that there was a homebrew channel just like right there? Also, I don't think the Wii was the only system that came out that couldn't do updates and DLC too well, because it had a quarter gig hard drive.
It required a lot of game companies to just like either abandon it or just make games exclusively for the Wii and not do like actual ports.
Oh, things that did get ports were always drastically different games too, because we couldn't do HD for one thing.
Like you get the awesome rail shooters for Transformers, so I think that's a positive more than a negative.
I suppose. The Metroid Prime 3, I actually really liked 2 and 1, but I couldn't play 3 because I had to keep my hand lifted the whole time to aim, and it just got so tired.
Yeah. You're gonna need like an armrest, like get like a strap.
Well, if I have to buy furniture to play a game.
You need to get like a replica of a suit.
Anyone? Okay, how about Smash Brothers Brawl? That's the big seller for the Wii.
Never played it.
Never played it.
What I got positive things to say about this one. Surprise, surprise. Because I have bought that game about 8 times over for like $2 a piece, and they sold really fast. So that's what I gotta say about that. So that was really good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Orange Diamond.
No, that's my positive about Super Smash Brothers. Brawl is that it gave me good monies. So there you go.
That was the game. They added a tripping mechanic where you can randomly trip, and also most people who play it like to mod it to play like Melee. There's a game store around here called No Limit Gaming where they keep Wii's on display on TVs to play Smash Brothers on, and they all got the modded version.
To me, at least my personal fan theory is that somebody spends like about $20 to get that game, and then they immediately throw it back into the Thriftverse, into Goodwill.
Smash Brothers is always valuable.
Yeah, but like it's the biggest trap out of all of them. At least I feel.
Well, even though you wanted to skip it, we may as well at least say something about the Wii U.
It's a good Netflix device, man.
It's got the Super Mario 3D Worlds, which I didn't like at all. At all. It was so generic.
I guess that's worth highlighting.
It tried to do a lot of stuff. It brought Pikmin back. Pikmin 3. You ever play that?
Yeah.
You loved it?
I mean, it's Pikmin, so kind of okay. It's annoying having to collect the different elements of the Pikmin. That's it.
I did want to get that console for the ability to play the Game Boy Advance games through the Virtual Console.
Yeah, the Virtual Console is probably the one thing I really did like about the Wii and Wii U.
Mm-hmm. It was a good testing grounds. It was Nintendo games of how they should have been priced. $5 on the secondhand market.
That's the thing about Nintendo. Like Mr. Critical Failure kept pointed out to me. Like Sega's known for releasing collections. Nintendo's known for re-releasing one game at a time individually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They've re-released
that was until the Nintendo Switch when I finally listened and released the the $6 subscription service NES
Everyone-
collection.
Which everyone freaked out about. I'm
I
still
didn't.
freaking
I
out about.
celebrate because I'm like, yeah, I don't have to pay $5 per game. I can just pay a subscription and just stream them.
Here's a fun game. How many systems can you buy Super Mario Brothers, the original on?
Oh god,
A lot.
all of them.
The NES, the Super Nintendo with All Stars, the GameCube with Animal Crossing, sort of, on the 3DS
Game Boy,
console.
Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, GameCube if you use the Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color versions.
I already said GameCube with Animal Crossing. Sort of. I think you had to cheat to get that one, though.
Yeah, but you can also use the NES Classics one on the Game Boy player too.
Yeah. The NES Classic. There's one.
Mm-hmm.
The Wii U.
There's a bootleg, actual working bootleg for the Mega Drive if you want to count bootlegs. It's also an arcade.
And we're not counting illegal methods now. Not yet. We'll get to that.
Not yet, but it was also released in the arcade as a more of an HD version, and it was also released on the Hudson's PC.
Okay. That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a very special. It's called Super Mario Special. That one. Excuse me. Sorry. It's called Super Mario Special. Special. That was just so racist.
Special. That sounded like a sneeze.
But no, it's called Super Mario Special, and it plays just like Mario, except it's got some new levels. But the thing is, instead of the screen scrolling, when you move to the next section, it just cuts to it instead of scrolls to it. So it's like playing Mario with load screens.
I bet it would make certain areas easier.
What was the big Zelda game on Wii U? They had a port of Wind Waker, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Any originals on Wii U? Well, I guess technically you can get Breath of the Wild on Wii U, and it's the exact same thing.
Yep, it pulled Twilight Princess syndrome, where it was originally announced for one thing, but it did come out on that one thing, but it came out for the next console earlier.
Something that is weird for the Wii U was that there's a lot of enhanced editions of like PS3 and 360 games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like as an example, Mass Effect, there was a enhanced edition or like
Darkstalkers.
actual additional content. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It had Bayonetta 2. That was a random one.
Yeah.
And if you dress like Princess Peach in that game, then you can have Bowser's hand attacking through those portal things.
Speaking of Wii U, what did you think about the Devil's Third controversy for that system?
The what?
There was a game called Devil's Third. Apparently, there was some weird controversy with the American version. Like, the American version became worth so much because what was some controversy? Like, Nintendo EB employees were purposely buying the games just so it can be hard to find, or something like that. Like some real scummy move. I know the Power regions didn't have that problem because it was released everywhere, but it was just like some weird EB bullshit.
Yep.
I could be wrong. I could just be misremembering, which is
Devil's
more than
Third
likely
is
the case. But,
$70 game.
Yeah, but I got a 3.5 on IGN and a 43 on Metacritic.
Oh gosh.
The controversy was more how it became worth a $70 game.
Looks like
that was more of the controversy.
Looks like a run and shoot from the PS2 early era.
So
it was bad.
What you're saying is that people became aware of the Atlas syndrome and then took advantage of it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, if it's an Atlas game, then I have to have it. Wii U had Sonic Lost World, which so many people called abysmal.
Boo!
I gotta be honest. I thought it was fine. Not bad, not great, just okay. I really don't think
it. I liked it, except it felt like, to me, it reminded me a little bit of Mario Galaxy meets Sonic Extreme.
Sonic Extreme never even got released.
I know, but if you look at the footage of that, like the way it like curves and whatnot, like the fisheye sort of thing, like the curviness of it, that's what it reminded me of, and it wasn't a bad game at all. Actually, it's quite fun. Some really annoying bosses though, but
it's also on Steam, so
yeah, that's how I played it.
Trivia
for those who don't play PC games, the Steam version of Sonic Lost World has 100 achievements, or 99 achievements, one of the two.
Yep. The Sonic taboo. It's uncool to like Sonic. You got to remember that. Oh yeah, the Punch-Out Wii game.
I remember the Wii U edition of the Punch-Out game was famous for taking up a huge chunk of your hard drive space for the Wii U.
Punch-Out Wii. That game was weird. It was a full-on remake of the OG Punch-Out. except they switched around Mr. Dream and Mr. Sandman, and also they took out they switched around Super Macho Man and Mr. Sandman and took out Mr. Dream. I can understand not having Mike Tyson, but why not keep Mr. Dream?
Because he's a figment of your imagination.
Yeah, they added 2 Super Punch-Out characters, one new one called Disco Kid, and Donkey Kong. Probably the first game where Donkey Kong actually made gorilla noises.
Oh, fun trivia. Princess Peach was originally meant to be part of that game, but she got removed.
What, Punch-Out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Even though I totally got it was supposed to be a reference to that Hilary Swank movie from a few years before. I think that's what they were going for with Princess Peach.
Like it would make sense if she was like the coach, instead of having the black dude in the back. Just be like, you have Peach in the back, say like, you get him, Tiger.
If they don't have Doc Brown, then it gets criticized for not being faithful.
Yeah, you're right.
He wasn't in the original arcade game, so why is that a fucking point?
He was on the NES. But if we can get a remake of Super Punch-Out that brings back the 3 rounds and winning by decision, I'll be on to that.
Mm-hmm. Super Punch-Out, the remake of the arcade game with the same name. Those arcade games do not play very well, by the way. They're very stiff and awkward.
And even more racist, like Soda Popinski was named Vodka Drunkinski in the arcade version.
And the Italian guy was named Pizza Pasta.
Nice.
Anyone ever translate them? Well, before we say the Switch, why don't we talk about the handhelds a little?
Ooh.
They had some decent SNES games on the Game Boy Advance, but I didn't like this. I didn't like the size of the screen. That's about it. Almost every handheld edition of Nintendo consoles, the screen size was too small for my liking. That's probably
accumulated. That's probably the reason why people bought the Game Boy player. I remember that's why I bought the Game Boy player, so I can finally see what I'm doing in my Game Boy games.
And that's often why I use the emulator for PC, so I could full screen the games. I still bought them, legit, but I full screened them on my computer, so I can actually play them.
Oh, there was the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Light, then the Game Boy Color, which is actually the next system. Besides Pokemon, what's worth going back to on those?
The Super Mario Land games, the Wario Land games. The Wario Land games are fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, you used to be a huge Wario guy.
You quiet. If I'm going by my favorite top 5 favorite Mario games, three of them include the Wario Land games. Yes, I'm including the Wario Land games as part of Mario Land.
And Miss, you got any of those Game Boys?
Well, I rebuild Game Boy Advances. I have a couple games, I think. I like Summon Night. What is it? Craft Night Story.
You like the expensive games? I like it.
Yes.
No, it is. Summoner Night is legitimately. Those are both of them are good games. Legitimately.
Good games. I wonder why the handheld market was always dominated by Nintendo. There was the Game Gear.
Only because it's easy to bootleg the cartridges. Therefore, availability of some of those games is easier to find.
Now, what else was there? The Game Gear, the Atari Lynx, and then nothing until the PSP, and then Vita. Yeah.
We're forgetting the Tiger Gamecom here. Oy.
I'm not forgetting those. I'm just not acknowledging them.
It doesn't help that a lot of game companies felt that it's a handheld edition, therefore we're going to try and charge you $50, like the normal console price. A lot of companies did that, and so the few attempts at handheld consoles, there was such fierce competition, and you didn't really have that great of gameplay.
But they still had Pokemon. That was their one thing.
But what I'm getting at, though, is that a lot of the other companies didn't have brand recognition, and so they didn't really do too great. Like, it really was just Nintendo, and then followed by Sony afterwards. And even then, Sony did okay. They were successful enough.
Vita didn't do well, sadly. No, it's
sad. That's the right thing. Everyone loved the Vita, but Sony themselves. That's why it failed. It was self-sabotage. Because they originally pitched it as a mobile phone, and they didn't like that people wanted the gameplay element and not the phone element. So I'm guessing that's why they wanted to get rid of it. But anyway, am I the only one here that, like, I rarely had 2 handhelds in my family. Like, the only handheld I had really growing up was the Game Boy. Like, it was rare if I had anything like of another brand. Except for Tiger Electronics. For some reason, if you got a Game Boy back in my day, there's always a chance you've got like a few Tiger Electronics as your other handheld consoles.
Okay, that's because you'd find those like dirt cheap everywhere. You really had to
Yep.
bring those into it, didn't
And
you?
they had good variety too. Like they had Sonic the Hedgehog, and every time I met someone with one, it was never the same one, which was crazy. Like some kid I knew had a Sonic the Hedgehog one. I saw a Virtua Fighter one in Kmart one time. The one I had was the Goosebumps one, and another cool one that I wish I had was the WCW one where they had a big giant ring, two plastic figures on the side, and two players on each side, well, a player on each side controlling that wrestler.
Yeah, but they were still not good.
No, they weren't good. Although surprisingly, not Battlefield, ugh, Battle Tanks. There we go. The Battle
Yeah.
Tank one was surprisingly
Oh yeah, I forgot about the
faithful.
Game and Watch.
Game and Watches, those are okay too, but there are other Nintendo. Those are other Nintendo things where they're way too expensive to play. But they were kind of they did port some of those to their handheld consoles, which I wish they still did the Game and Watch collection. Which I believe the last time they did that was for the Nintendo DS, and that was a bizarre remake of no wait, this was a different game completely. But they had two Game and Watch collections. Then they also had like this bizarre remake of Balloon Fight, but with Tingle from Majora's Mask.
Teamsies. Well, we're getting a
Yeah.
little off topic here.
I know, but
Overrated.
I think we're pretty much saying that Nintendo's worth getting. But a wise person once said that just because we say someone's overrated doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means that it's overrated. Because
Well-
when people hear overrated, they immediately think they're hating it. When that's not always the case.
Well, let's go into the Game Boy Advance then. That's like, to me, that felt like the first time the handhelds felt like mainstream games, was when Game Boy Advance became a thing.
Yes, but playing a lot of those Game Boy Advance games now, they haven't aged very well.
How dare you?
Just
A
great.
few
Now he
of them.
chooses to come back at that moment.
Well, no, just a few of them were pretty good. It's because like it was the best SNES emulator of all time. And that's about it. That's all I have to say about it. But yes, I do agree with you. Like oh yeah, the Army Men edition of for Game Boy Advance was bad. Was terrible bad. But like you can make a legit top 100 good Game Boy Advance.
Yes,
games.
you can.
And you can't do that for a lot of Nintendo consoles, but you could do that definitely for the Game Boy Advance.
That was the other reason why I noticed the GameCube wasn't selling back in the day, because the Game Boy Advance took all the attention.
Well, there was also the N-Gage. There was that. Remember that thing?
I remember that taco. I nearly bought one of them, but they sold out. I mainly wanted it for Pandemonium and Sonic N. At least I believe it was called Sonic N on that system. I mainly wanted it for how the heck did I get over to Sendu's place, by the way?
What?
It was probably just sound settings.
What did you do?
There was a phone jack sound that happened, so somebody actually probably disconnected from their either their headphones or microphone, and then an echo of Kaiser speaking happened. That's it.
Yeah, all I can say is when I hear my echo is, my God, am I mumbly?
Yeah, you're also kind of annoyed.
Oh, well, that's a given, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, something's live streaming us on YouTube.
Oh, that'll be OBS.
Oh, how about that?
Oh, did you get caught broadcasting it instead of just recording?
Yeah, that was a mistake. Oh well.
Yeah, we didn't do anything sensitive. Continue.
Okay, yeah, I'll just get rid of that. Go ahead. You were saying?
Kaiser, you go.
Okay, let's back up here. You're talking about making a good list of Game Boy games, how you can legitimately make a good one. I'm saying how they haven't aged well. Well, also, to be fair, some of them were designed to be like, for example, some of them were designed to, no, I'm just messing up here now. Gosh, darn it. But no, for example, a lot of those games were designed to like work well with technology of that time. Actually, that doesn't make sense at all. I can't get my point across.
Yeah, what I'm saying though, man, the Game Boy Advance was a great SNES emulator in the sense that almost every single game was stylized in the SNES format. So you had
here we go.
How many
Mainly
years
the
of
games
the SNES? So they defined it really well.
Okay. Mainly the games that didn't age well were games that were being experimental back in the day. Like, for example, the Game Boy Advance port of Crazy Taxi.
Things that it wasn't capable of really pulling off.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, man,
now.
the only thing that it was really good at was 2D platformers or 2D games in general. Like anything 3D related, it could technically do, but it was not good. I mean, Kill Switch, it's a good console game, but like, the advanced version, it's a really blurry pixel mess. Same thing could be said about Doom. Like that was just a pixel mess.
Mhm.
Uh, they did a GoldenEye port. That was a pixel mess. Yeah, anything 3D related was bad, but like all the things where they try to be a normal 2D platformer or 2D RPG, top-down view, however you want to do 2D,
Mhm.
were really well done.
Indeed.
Like Pokemon.
Yeah.
I did like how it also had some really good original Sega products on there, like the Sonic Advance trilogy. Although this has got some of the worst Sega related products on there, such as Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis. I mean, it's bizarre that
The infamous remake of Sonic 1 on Game Boy Advance.
yeah,
Can we
which is
pretend that
bizarre
doesn't...
because they perfectly ported Sonic Spinball earlier on in that system's life.
They also perfectly ported, the Donkey Kong Country games.
Those aren't perfect ports. They're more like bizarre remasters or remakes. I should know. I'm been playing them recently,
And then what
and
happened?
well, it's also bizarre because they added in cutscenes into the game and changed like some of the It's like you could tell like it wasn't done with like the source. Like they had to recreate some of this stuff, so some of the sizing's a bit off and whatnot. But it's not a bad looking game. It's just different. And like the map's completely different. It looks more like sort of like the Crash Bandicoot map of how it was originally supposed to be in the beta. And whatever bizarre things about it, like when I went into Donkey Kong's house one time, there was a random giant beaver in there trying to attack me. Like they added some weird bizarre stuff in it. It's also not a strictly inspired by the Super Nintendo version. It's also inspired by the Game Boy Color version as well. Like they took features from that game, like the Game Boy, like the pictures you find, which were used for the Game Boy printer. You can find those in that game. So these feel more like HD versions of the Actually, yeah, they feel more like HD versions of the Game Boy Color.
And that
which
was
is
the history known as Donkey Kong for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, and what other thing? They kept in the fishing mini game from the Game Boy Color version and put it to the Game Boy Advance, which is awesome.
Or Sam.
Yes. But anyway, what I'm trying to get my point is they're not bad.
No, not bad, but are they amazing?
I don't know. I haven't gone in that far to see if they are amazing.
Oh, shoot.
But anyway, when people also with the Game Boy Advance, when people claim that the Wii is the first thing to test if NES games could resell, no, that honor goes to the Game Boy Advance with the NES Classics collection.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the regular DS. Here's my question. What besides Pokemon is worth playing on it?
Ooh, Ace Attorney, the surgery games.
Nope.
You mean Trauma Center or whatever?
Yeah. What else? You be quiet, Swingle.
No, don't be quiet.
What else did I really enjoy on there?
It had the Sonic Rush games, which were okay.
I never played those, unfortunately.
I didn't like the new Super Mario Brothers at all.
Summon Night Twin Age, Trace Memory.
Ooh.
Some
of these, I want to know.
The World Ends With You.
Yeah, definitely. Though I think the more modern ports have definitely fixed some of the issues that were prevalent in the original release.
What else was really good on there? There's the Game & Watch collection, which were okay. There's also a bizarre, I mentioned this before, there's a bizarre remake of Balloon Fight that stars Tingle, and what other great things? Oh, you can play the original Game Boy Advance on it.
That doesn't count.
There was the Animal Crossing knockoff My Sims.
Oh God.
You got Super Mario 64
on DS.
Yeah.
You got Super Mario 64 DS, which isn't as great as the original. It actually showed the flaws of the original.
It showcases them and adds a few new ones.
What else is great on? Oh, it also ported the original Resident Evil to that system, which was not a great port by any means, but it did show the power of that system.
Not a great port, but it made it look pretty. What?
Gameplay-wise, not a great port, but it did show the power of what the system could do.
Hey, Hey, come on, man. Come on. You're talking about the second best-selling system in history.
I'm
It
not
did
dissing
have
it.
it did have great ports of Skylanders.
Yeah.
There was also Guitar Hero. What was it? Not World Tour. It was one of like
Not
the
a great
handheld
port
Guitar
of
Hero
Guitar
game.
Hero.
How do you play Guitar Hero on the DS? It's all touchscreen, I'm guessing.
It
No,
had a
No.
there's a
keyboard.
peripheral that goes in the Game Boy Advance slot.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, and
It's got
there are
buttons.
Imagine
and
sneaking
going
that
by
in high school.
Yep. And going by music games, there's actually really good music games. And like the Taiko Drum Master games are really good on it. Although first time I played that game on that system, it nearly drove me into a seizure. And another good music game on there is the Elite Beat Agents and the Owendon games.
Oh, and done! And apparently Kirby Mass Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of those consoles that I need a master list of like the games that were made because I stopped paying attention. You know what I mean? Like at that time period.
That's
Uh,
also another console
it had
that's
the
easy.
Phantom Hourglass, the Zelda game, which...
I like Spirit Tracks.
Ooh, what's that?
It's
Really?
Zelda.
I don't know much about this system, really.
I just like
the
that you made guttural noises and you're just like, oh, what's that?
Oh, I'm surprised you
Although-
spoke. I want to know.
Although I do believe that the dual screen is a much better gimmick than what the motion controller was.
Oh, the Rocket Slime game that was for DS as well. That was a good one. The Dragon Quest slime game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you like New Super Mario Brothers?
It was okay, not the best.
It was like not as good as the 2D games, which was kind of silly. It had a couple.
I was horrifically shocked when you'd see Bowser cooking alive after he's fallen into the lava. I thought that was traumatically violent.
Apparently, there was a Grand Theft Auto game on it called Chinatown Wars.
Yep,
Yeah, I knew
I
about
got
that one.
ported to other consoles
This
eventually.
website put Mario Kart DS as the best game on it.
Of course.
That's not a bad game, but I
Number
wouldn't
two
say
was-
it's the best.
Oh yeah, Animal Crossing Wild World.
That is a good game though.
Mm.
If you're into that. I also like the Harvest Moon games on there.
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
Ooh, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin
Oh, that was a good one. That played more
Yeah.
like Symphony of the Night. But
and Chrono Trigger, of course.
that's the only DS game that I kept in my collection.
What'd you do?
I definitely believe, like, at least for the DS, you probably could do like a top 50, like really great ones.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that there's like over 2,000 shovelware games.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that,
the
and a
problem.
lot of people bleed that that thought into it when they think about the DS. At least that's how I feel.
Well, do you think it's worthy of being the second best-selling system in history with 154 million units sold?
To be
Again,
fair, that was
it was
like the
also another
PSP with
cheap one.
piracy. That was also where it was the easiest to hack the DS.
Yeah, just get a flash cart and you're done.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was like a $40 flash cart, and you could
Oh,
play all
not
the
even
games.
that.
Like
Yeah.
if you go to
Yeah,
I know
mine's
on
like
AliExpress, there's like $20 ones that are filled with like 500 games in one, and I've seen videos they are legit 500 games, except you're only getting like 10 good games, and the rest are all shovelware, like the Imagine series.
Oh.
Those games.
But yeah, I definitely
Never
feel
actually did know
that
those.
I definitely feel that DS's popularity had everything to do with how easy it was to pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably true. Sadly.
Well, because all you have to do is just see like where the sales were taking place. Like if they were taking place outside of Europe, outside of America, it's like they were all being used for pirate stations.
Yeah, PokeSav, like every competitive Pokemon battler used hacked files.
Mhm.
I'm just picturing Nintendo going, 2 million people are playing Pokemon Diamond. Wait a minute, we only produced 1 million copies for that system.
Oh yeah, those Pokemon DS games were being pirated so rapidly. Nintendo
Yeah.
tried desperately to do something about it. I don't even remember if they succeeded in any way.
There are some anti-piracy measures in the DS Pokemon games. They're like very like subtle. Like I think in Black and White, after a certain point, your Pokemon won't level up at all.
Damn.
Like Leaf Green and Fire Red, they just threw in a line from an NPC that says, "By the way, if you like this game, buy it or die."
Oh no, Fire Red, Leaf Green. There was another thing I noticed in it. There's a line that pops up saying the save file was not corrupted.
Anti-piracy, that's a fun story on its own. Okay, well, we're 3DS and Switch. Let's talk about modern Nintendo and how many quote-unquote anti-consumer plans they do, according to good old Critical Failure. Alex, you're the expert. Tell us.
Well, I mean, there's the Sega TV. I mean, the Nintendo TV subscription plan. So that's great.
I
That's not
still,
that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I still don't even own a Switch because I still haven't found a reason to get it.
Yeah,
There's
same.
the half controller gimmick. Like I think that's dumb. Like the entire time, the Joy Cons, also known as half a controller. So that's cool, I guess.
I got the Nintendo Switch because it's easy to get review codes for that system.
Um, it feels like a legitimate rental device, the Switch, because of just the amount of DLC that's available for you to
Yeah,
buy.
like with its charging dock and whatnot, it does feel like something that you go to Blockbuster Video to rent for the weekend.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't feel like a legit console to me. It feels like a
You guys,
promotional tool.
you guys play Mario Odyssey?
Yes,
How is it?
I love
it's
the Gentleman T-Rex is the greatest creature of all time in the Super Mario world, and
it's
that's about it.
it's fun, but the thing that me and my family have always said is it gets to the point where where the moons don't get rewarding at all.
I think there's like one short of 1,000 in the game, and they
Mm.
actually did that intentionally so you could collect few in short bursts because they expected people to play the game in short bursts.
It's just like it's you just ground pound here, there it is. You go up there it is. It's like there's no reward behind it.
Hmm.
It's just it feels like collecting red coins.
Yeah.
What about Breath of the Wild? Anyone play it?
That one triggered me too hard
How?
because it's just so annoying. Like the degradation of weapons. It's the same crap from the other 3D Zelda games for like the puzzles. It's just a whole lot of like recycled like bleh.
Elder brother had a fun experience with it. He said he found himself just throwing bombs at enemies repeatedly because those are unlimited and they don't break and not fun at all. And he said it was the worst Zelda game he ever played.
So it's Bomberman Breath of the Wild.
I remember when they announced it, a big selling was the Skyrim of Zelda. I mean, Skyrim came out several years ago, and I'm not really a big fan of Elder Scrolls, so I played a little of it. I just kind of got bored and shut it off. Never cared to go back. Did not hook me, honestly. What about you, Kai Kai?
I never played it, but now you're scaring me.
You play it, Fenris?
What, Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Nope. Only thing I honestly want to play on the Switch is Octopath Traveler and maybe the new Animal Crossing game whenever it decides to come out.
Oh, I forgot I had off the path
What
travel.
about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee?
I mean, I debated on buying a Switch for that, but at the same time, I'm kind of waiting until they have a more beefy Pokemon main series Pokemon game to come out because I don't play Pokemon Go. Like, there's maybe like 5% of people that still play Pokemon Go.
There's like one new Pokemon you can only get on Go. So you
Yeah,
can
Meltan.
Yeah, and you can only get it on Let's Go by transferring it. And if you transfer it, you can't evolve it. So you got to evolve it on Go and then transfer it.
Yeah, that's a bunch of convoluted crap to me.
Although
Me too.
what I'm predicting with Nintendo is I believe they're just gonna release like a $60 expansion pack for the game and call it Classic Mode.
Oh God, I hope
Or if
not.
they'll do a third one, we'll call it Let's Go. What Pokemon?
Psyduck.
Well, I mean, isn't it traditional though, where they do 2 copies and then they do like an enhanced edition that blends both of them together?
They haven't done that in a while, actually.
Yeah,
they haven't really. Wow.
They haven't done that since Platinum on the DS with Black
Okay.
and White. They did Black 2 and White 2, two direct sequels. X and Y didn't get anything. We just got the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and
Nice.
Sun and Moon got 2 enhanced versions, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, which were
I have
kind of
not-
like
I have not even completed those yet. I have them both, and I still haven't gone through either of them.
I really liked Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but I could not get into Sun and Moon.
I have
mean-
like 400 hours in Omega Ruby alone.
Ugh.
Oh, me too. Like,
Ugh.
I actually completed the Pokedex in Omega Ruby.
I could not. I was too lazy.
And I quit a bit of the way in of Y version.
I liked X and Y, honestly.
I did also.
I did. The thing that annoyed me about X and Y was there was just too many people getting my. I'm not talking about the battles. I'm just talking about side quests in general.
Story
Some of
heavy.
it-
There's like a lot of
I just
side
wanna
quests that-
explore.
There's a lot of stuff in X and Y that feel unfinished and stuff, so I was like really hoping there would be a Z that had the enhancements from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and it never happened.
I was so satisfied just by playing Pokemon Red. that I've seen the other ones in action, but I've never actually bothered playing them.
You want to play
Like
one? I'd suggest Heart Gold, Soul Silver. There you go.
That's a pretty good one.
like for the collectathons, at least when it comes to getting all the Pokemons, I think I maybe collected like 40 out of the 150 from the original. Like, because like that, I just stopped caring after a while. I was like, oh, okay, there's a new one.
At
Like,
least
I
with
guess.
the OG games, it was kind of feasible. You only needed red and blue, and yellow was worthless because it didn't. It was missing Pokemon that you need red and blue to get.
Mm.
Here's a question for you. Which team were you on back in the day, red or blue?
Red.
Red.
Blue.
I was on red just because it was given to me, and that was about it. I didn't purposely choose it.
So I'm the only blue kid here, huh?
Yeah, apparently.
But you're blue by choice, you sad.
Yeah, I
emo,
was, because it
hairless
had all
you.
the Pokemon I actually freaking wanted on it. It had Bellsprout, it had Meowth, it had Vulpix, it had Butthead, Magma.
But red had red's my favorite color, and it also had my favorite from Gen 1, which was Electabuzz.
Exactly. I was smart. I actually looked up the set list.
I didn't.
Sorry, the set list.
I didn't. I wanted red because my brother had blue. And our cousin had yellow.
Poor guy.
And then I got crystal, and that was just life.
Wait, you didn't? Did any of us here play the original Diamond version, the bootleg?
No. There was this one fan-made Pokemon game that had a whole new battle system and everything. So many years worked on it, and Nintendo put a stop to it altogether. Nintendo really hates these fan projects.
Nintendo hates their fans.
That's what people said during the Wii when they just completely ignored their mainstream
That's
things.
another reason why Nintendo should be overrated. They're fucking dicks.
Are they? Tell us.
Well, to be fair, they're only just protecting their property that people are making things without the license.
Anyone want to tell a 3DS tale?
I had one for a short amount of time. I got bored with it quickly and gave it to my little sister.
The new 3DS XLs do not come with chargers. Those are sold separate.
Cheap bastards.
When I got one at the cash land, he had to go get a charger from the back because he's like, I don't know where it is. We should have had it. I told him that. They're sold new without them. He just looks at me funny and like, you're kidding, right?
It's from a very special time period at least for that one, where they were like all these it was like for like printers, handhelds. They were trying to be special, going like, "Oh, we're environmentally conscious. We're not gonna put the charger with it because you should probably already have a charger that's compatible."
Well,
And yet they still bloody charge you the same price for a console without a charger as they do one that would have come with one.
It wasn't them price gouging at all, right? It wasn't at all, right? It was just them being environmentally conscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They also didn't bloody pack in a charger with the NES Classic or Super Nintendo Classic either.
And the Pokebank wouldn't let me transfer my secret legendaries to Sun and Moon. I got those legit, dang it.
Yeah, there's certain Pokemon I couldn't transfer over either, and they were legit.
That was so meh. That made me sad. You know how happy I was to get a Mew? Come on. Freaking Genesect. Try getting one of those in Sun and Moon. Well, shoot. We've been all over the place. But I gotta say, I'm a little convinced. Most of their content, their games, I don't really find that good, but just all the stuff they did is actually fun stories, so maybe to a degree they're not that overrated. What do you guys think?
They're just shady.
Yeah, I can agree with that. They have like a lot of shady practices that they've done. It's good memories, but then as you get older, you kind of see what they've done over the years, and you're just like, oh no.
Which begs the question: were they being shady, or were they being risky?
Or were they being very smart in a business sense?
Yeah.
They definitely manipulated their consumers a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Pretty sure the understocking of the NES and SNES Classic was done on purpose.
One of the at least deciding factors for me is what would have happened if they didn't exist, right? Like if someone took their place, would we have a worse experience or better experience?
Well, an alternate world where the Hudson Soft became Nintendo. How about that? And Bonk was Mario.
Bonk.
That's kind of how I feel about it, where like I could legit to me I feel like they are overrated because like based on what the competition was just in America after that crash occurred and like they recovered, I think it would have been just fine if not better.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I kind of disagree. I believe if we didn't have Nintendo, we probably wouldn't have had the PlayStation ever come to fruition.
Yeah, I can see that.
That is technically true. The PlayStation's development started as a Super Nintendo add-on, and that fell through.
So, in a way, because Nintendo are douchebags, that's how we got the PlayStation. You know what? That's forgivable. It's kind of like, if it wasn't for God banishing Lucifer, we wouldn't have like the planet. So, yeah, I'm for you.
In the world without Nintendo, that probably would have mean that the Apple Pippin would have been a big success, and ooh, no one deserves to play that.
I doubt that. Okay, people don't buy crap just because there's nothing better. You gotta remember that.
I don't know about that.
I see on a routinely basis, like maybe like every week or two, like, hey, it's me, Kaiser. Let me tell you the stuff I bought on the weekend. Oh, thanks.
See,
Guys.
that's the point I was getting at.
Yeah, exactly. People buy crap for the sake of buying crap. Kaiser's living proof.
All that subliminal messaging in the cola I drink.
Yeah.
Sega probably had a lot to do with Nintendo advancing. The Genesis never threatened them so much, they probably wouldn't have made the Super Nintendo so quickly.
Also, if it wasn't for Nintendo, we probably wouldn't have had the rating system, because when the games like Night Trap was being criticized, guess who was there to throw the Sega under the bus? Nintendo.
Nintendo don't, thank you.
They were going on about like, oh, there's profanity in your games. We wouldn't do it in our games.
Yes. And on that note, everyone liked the Genesis Mortal Kombat more because it had the blood.
And
Any final thoughts, anyone? Nope.
Yeah, Bill. I mean, we just said it like a minute ago. Overrated, but necessary evil. That's what I have to say.
As we said,
Yeah.
And as I said before, just because something's marked as overrated doesn't mean that it's bad.
You want to say anything about the still massive amounts of completely biased love it gets?
Yeah, if there's one thing I can say that's more overrated than Nintendo, it's the Nintendo fan base themselves.
What? You talking about the reviewers or something? What?
I'm gonna get stabbed for that, aren't I?
Probably. Nobody knows who you are.
When you hear the Million Plumber March walking down the street, all got pitchforks, that's a sign to run.
Singing do-I-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-do?
What I'm trying to say is some of those Nintendo fans are just plain dicks, especially if you're a Sonic fan.
Yes, they absolutely are relentless towards us.
Don't get me wrong, there's a ton of good Nintendo fans.
Yeah, but
even though I said the fan base is overrated, which that was more of a joke, people. Get over it!
We'll save the Sonic taboo for another episode, though. Any which way, it tastes good to know. Would y'all like to stick around for the mailbag?
Sure.
We've got a total of 3 comments, 1 from Kaiser and 1 audio comment. So we're going to take a quick break and be back to respond to people talking to us. Hey, we're back. We've actually got viewer mail, believe it or not. One of them's from Retro Kaiser here.
Of course. What does that bastard have to say this time?
Let's see. I've got a good answer for this question. A game I like to play because it is fun is Sonic R. It takes a little to get into, but once I was into it, man, did I have a lot of fun with it. I also just plain like playing time trial so I can just explore the stages inside and out, as that's half the fun of the game. Another game I like is to play because it's fun is Capcom vs SNK 2. I just like to play as all the characters and Ryu clones. Those are 2 games that helped to make me feel at peace during my high school days, you know? The day where I got bullied into insanity and no one would help me. Yeah, those dark diamond days.
Mm-hmm. That happened.
Boy, you like to just drop that bomb anywhere, don't you?
I like to make the listeners feel bad. I like people to feel pity about me. That's where all the money comes from.
Well, if you're wondering, last episode the topic was games that are just fun. Flawed, but still just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And those are your picks.
Good picks. Really good picks.
Yeah. Hey, Fenris,
I guess.
How about you? You got any games that you know are bad but still play because they're fun?
Well, I probably have a lot of those. I like Blinks the Time Sweeper a lot.
Oh.
Yay.
Jade Empire, which it's not bad. It's just there's a lot of flaws, and they probably should have cleaned that up a little bit before it went to full release. And I also like Fable, which that's a toss-up. Some people really hate that game, and then some people really like it. I'm on the really like it side of the fence. But yeah, I'd say those are my three top ones anyway.
Well, thank you for writing in, Kaiser.
You're welcome.
Well, here's one
And
that's impressed.
by the way, listeners, the thing I said about pity, that's what drove the money in. I was joking. I'm fucking hurt about what I went through in school. Ugh.
Yes.
You big baby.
Shut up.
Oh, he only had a mental breakdown. What?
Yeah.
Well, here's one directed at me. His voice hasn't changed much in the last 5 years. Still got some great videos. Yeah, that's a thing. I've always received criticism because of my voice on YouTube.
Mhm.
5 years, my gosh. Whew. Now here's one from Tiger Claw TV, our good friend Critical Failure. Matching jackets sound awesome. You guys will have to do a meet up at some point with your matching jackets. Yeah, that was a while ago. We do have matching jackets now. Galing. And two of us kept them.
We're gonna be meeting up at a convention, and we're gonna come in and go Grease Lightning.
I'm just kidding. We've all got them. Might be
I
ordering.
don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
I'm wearing mine now. Actually, it's very comfy.
Same here.
Anyway,
It's on the back of my chair.
back to his comment. Game I keep going back to despite their flaws. Doom 2, the main vanilla game. Morrowind. Both games suffer from problems of early 3D games and how they age, but they have both become staples for me. Sometimes I just don't want to take the time to learn a new game. Those are two I go back to. Good picks, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Moving on. Oh, here's something for Swindle.
That thing is the problem. The problem with Morrowind is the same problems that every single Bethesda game has now.
Yep. Okay, his comment continues. This part's addressed to Alex. Dead Island Riptide? Question mark. I love the original despite huge flaws. Never got around to buying Riptide when it was on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's gone now. Yep.
The remastered edition is available though.
And for me, Zendu. My first and only real experience with the Fable series is Fable 3. I don't remember ever finding blaring flaws except that it just didn't grab me. I would go back and try it again, though. I'm pretty sure I have a remastered version of the original Fable on Steam, but I have never run it. Good episode, man. Nice to see this project take shape. I hope you continue with it. Well, I am. Yeah, that was one of my picks for the Fable series. I know they're flawed games, but I just have so much fun I keep playing them. Something I'll never stop getting. Well, we've got one more from Kazlab, aka Balzac. It's an audio comment, and it's 5 minutes long. Thank you. Let's play this and respond to it.
Yeah, so I have to ask, where's that episode 3 of the Fastcast? Said you were doing one every month. So, yeah, before I get into that, I guess introductions are in order. You probably know me. Used to be known as Balzac802 a couple years ago, but now I go by the name Kazlab, and I listened to the Monstercast 2 recently, and I really enjoyed your segments of it, so decided to check out your stuff. Well, you know, I've always known about you since the G&DB days, and it's nice to, you know, listen to somebody that actually remembers those times of when they used to make podcasts. But I guess you're picking up the torch now, huh? Now that G&DB have been off of the spotlight for how many years now? Since I think 2011 or 2012. And yeah, now they're phased off from the internet. So decided to give your podcast a listen to, and it was enjoyable. I guess I'll keep listening if you keep making it, but you haven't made one in a while, so maybe this audio comment I'm recording will help you, inspire you to make more podcasts. So topics obviously the main one I want to talk about is glad I finally have somebody that loves the Shenmue as much as I do. So I got to ask, how's that Shenmue HD treating you now that I think it got patched already? I know it's had a couple patches already, and I think I heard you said you beat it before the first patch came out, but I gotta ask if you ever ended up playing it again after those patches got released, because I bought the game day one, but I only beat like the first one, I think in a span of a week, and then I took a break, and then beat the second one, beat the second one right after the patch came out, or I think I started right after the patch came out, and then I never really ran into any problems. But how many copies of it did you pick up is what I'm trying to get at, because I think I picked up the Steam version, the Xbox One version, the PS4 version, PS4 digital version, and I picked up even the Japanese version that came out, I think last month in November 22nd. It came with that sweet bonus audio CD that the North American version never got. So I'm a pretty big fan, and obviously Shenmue 3, 2019 Game of the Year. I'm calling it right now. Forget Kingdom Hearts 3 or the new Pokemon game. It's all about that Shenmue. So yeah, pretty hyped for that. So I imagine you are too, and probably participated in the Kickstarter years ago. So got to get your take on that. And speaking of which, since you upgraded to the next generation of consoles with the PS4, I have to ask, I guess since I'll end this audio comment with an actual question, what's your favorite next-gen game you played so far in this generation? One that I'll definitely say that's my favorite is The Last Guardian. That was a really, really good game. I don't really want to give anything away or say why I like that game so much, but if you ever get the chance, because it's probably like $20 now, but I bought that game day one, and I think I beat it in a span of the week, and I would probably say it was easily my favorite game of this generation, but I think I would also put in like my top 10 favorite games of all time. I think that would make a good number 5. It was that good. I don't really want to get into the reasons why. And these reviewers that always say gave it middling scores, don't listen to them. They're full of, well, I can understand some reasons why some people might not like it because it's a little bit too slow for some people. So, if you have a busy life, you can't really relax or anything, then I probably wouldn't recommend it. But if you have like days off, I guess, and you could relax and enjoy a video game, I would definitely recommend that. And yeah, other next gen stuff it doesn't even come close in my opinion, but that was a really good one. So yeah, can't wait for more episodes of hopefully the Fastcast. Okay, I gotta get used to saying that. Hopefully I can see another episode soon, because you don't just want this to die on the vine for just 2 episodes now, do you? Well, hopefully, if you ever, I'll keep making audio comments if you keep making episodes. Okay, how about let's call that a deal? So, yeah, since it's the end of the year, I guess I'll just say, if you haven't ended up playing this and this is out of context, I want to wish you a happy holiday, happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a happy New Year, which 2019 is looking pretty nice. So, hope in gaming, in the actual world, not so much, but some games are going to come out that are going to be pretty sweet. So, see you next episode, maybe? Okay, bye.
Yeah, thanks for the audio message. Okay, what happened was I was planning one a month in November. The person I had scheduled to record with didn't show. And then the next week complained I never told them. And then later said, oh wait, you did, but sorry. And then December, family and holiday, that's all I'll say. But hopefully I can get one more out this month to make up for some of that. Oh, yeah, Shenmue, I only bought it on PS4. The HD remake, I did not replay it after the patches, because I did beat it and platinum both. And I don't know, it's just sad it's not the best place to play it still. That's what Yu Suzuki said, at least. So the rest of y'all want to say something?
Shenmue.
Oh, yeah.
Every
I've
time
never played them, but I'd like to eventually.
Well, his question was, what's our favorite game of the current generation? That's a pretty loaded question. About 7 years of gaming there. Anyone? From
Dad,
PS...
my answer's going to be pretty boring. It's going to be Rock Band 4.
What? Really? That's the
Yeah.
Rock Band's the best one you've got in this generation.
Yeah, that's a game I still constantly play. To be fair, I've been playing this series since back when it was Guitar Hero 2. Actually, I've been playing music games before Guitar Hero, and I said this. I'm just mumbling now. Rock Band 4.
Well, I did get super into the Xenoverse games. That kept me going for a long time, actually.
My joke answer, because it's technically not like a modern release, is the Rare Collection, and then for like an actual game, it would be Killzone 4. But that's, again, I have a very limited play experience with the PS4 and Xbox One.
And
but to
Switch.
me, at least for Xbox One, it was the Rare Collection.
And most
Man,
of those games
my
came out
God.
on PC too,
Yeah.
I like a lot of the stuff by Supergiant Games, so like Bastion, Transistor, Pyre. I got Hades on the against my better judgment. I got Hades in pre-release, so I've been playing a lot of that type of stuff.
PS4's been a big experiment system for me. It's like the first modern one I owned all by myself without my siblings involved.
This is also going to be another weird answer, but another thing I like about this generation is the Arcade Archive releases, where they're porting some really good ports of old arcade games to modern systems.
Arcade McNade.
For actual releases, again, like Technomancer was a pretty good one. It was made by the same people who did Bound by Flame, which is technically a game in the style of Dark Souls, but it's a lot fairer, where you don't have to. It's not all about rote memorization of the enemy attacks.
I'm surprised
So
no
it
one
plays
said
like a real game. That's what I get
Metal
at.
Gear Solid
Sorry
5
for interrupting you there. Very sorry, but yeah.
But
Anyway, I'm surprised no one said Sonic Mania yet.
Yeah, that's a good one. Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain is really good. I got into that for a while, kept playing it long after I beat the story, which was the first for Metal Gear. Okay, that's not true. I did replay 2 a lot, but...
So what was the Phantom Pain, by the way?
Well, you mean what does the subtitle mean, or what's the game?
Well, like, what does the subtitle mean? Because is the pain the fact that the game was made? Was that the Phantom Pain?
It's kind of an expression they use for soldiers who still haven't gotten over their serious war injuries, kind of like PTSD in a way.
Okay.
Like, you still feel it even though you've recovered. I mean, in the game, Snake's got a shrapnel sticking out of his head, because removing that would have been dangerous to the brain.
Mm-hmm. And they don't know the concept of chelation either.
Oh, but that game takes place in the 80s, yet they've got this, technology that would rival 2030.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Like this eye drone that creates a big hologram of a map.
Yeah, just the concept of a drone alone, it's like, yeah, you're already 50 years in the...
Although that game was amazing, because the first time I saw it, I thought, why are they using FMV? No, they're not. That's just how realistic this cutscene looks.
Yeah.
There's then, Bound by Flame. That's a game I really wanted to like. Like, I liked the moral choice system, actually made sense. You could struggle to do it as a human, or give in to the demon sighted in you, take some of his powers and become more demonic. And it was just so generic.
It was mostly the gameplay that I liked. And also, like, the actual story choices wasn't that melodramatic.
Like, at one point, I'm supposed to be going through these ghosts of people I've met throughout the game, and one of them, I'm like, wait, when did they die? No, I didn't kill them. What? Wow, I lost an ally.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2019 Game of the Year. He says Shenmue 3. Who wants to debunk that?
He is a fan of the series, so
am I.
I think that says everything that needs to be said.
I just hope it's gonna be a good. I hope it's not gonna end up being the next Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses.
Nice, very nice.
Or the next Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5.
Or the next Duke Nukem Forever.
Well, that one was kind of expected.
I mean, like, I personally don't understand the hype between for Shenmue 1 and 2 myself. It's very detailed. Like, that's why I can understand why people like that by itself, just because of how intricate it is.
But the story was super deep, was super engaging, and it ended on a massive cliffhanger, and there's never been any sort of reveal of what was gonna happen.
I'm a bit scared of playing the Shenmue games, because every time I've seen videos on it, the answer is always it's incredibly boring, and the only one review that I saw that didn't criticize the game that much was incredibly cringy, and that was Happy Consoles Gamer review of the game. Ugh, such a bad video.
I will admit it was a product of its time, but can't fault it for limitations of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's a game that showed the Dreamcast could have done graphics on par with PS2 if it had the chance to develop.
A great looking game.
Yeah, at least for 2019, I don't know like any like real game that I'm like super excited for.
Not even Kingdom Hearts 3.
Especially not Kingdom Hearts 3, because like I played like the first 2 worlds of the first game, and I like imploded, like, Black Hole Edition, from the level of cringe that I experienced. So no, I mean the gameplay was good, like, but I think more people suffer through the horrific, terrible story for the game. I think that's what it is. Where it's like, oh hey, I have Donald Duck and Goofy as my teammates. This is awesome. And then everything else is just like, I'm just gonna close my eyes and put my earplugs in. Please, just stop.
Fenris, what's your take on Kingdom Hearts?
I have only completed the first game, and then I started the second game and was like, this is looking good, and then I just stopped. I can't keep, like, and I think that's, like, the main problem with everybody, is you can't really keep up with the fucking plot unless you look up a summary somewhere or spend several hundred hours trying to play all the games in a specific order so you understand it.
It was pretty easy to follow at first. Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, then Kingdom Hearts 2, and then it went crazy with spin-offs, and they kept adding continuity left and right, and everyone is Sora. And I just completely lost it.
Well, I feel like also 3 has now suffered the whole Valve Half-Life 3 type thing, because I don't think anyone ever thought it was going to actually come out. Now it's actually here.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts was consistently making games and milking it.
Yeah, but they never had a main series, though, until now. And when did the second game come out?
2005? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, gosh. Came out on PS2. Now it's also on PS3 and PS4.
Right now, it's starting to feel like the era, when bands are gone for a long time and then suddenly all back together. Starting to feel like the reunion tour year of video games.
Well, thanks, Balzac. Thanks for the audio comment. I've never heard of this Voca2 website before. Vocaroo website before.
Vocaroo!
Yeah, Vocaroo, some audio upload website. Never heard of that before. That would have been way easier back in the day.
Think a talking kangaroo.
You mean me? Well, that's it for the show, I think. Final words, anyone? Didn't think so. So, thanks a million for everyone. Coming on, Alex Swingle, Orange Guerra, Retro Kaiser, the Dark Rider, and introducing Fenris the Rogue. You want to say anything? What you gonna do for us, if any?
Probably just write articles and show up on the podcast. Hopefully not fashionably late again. Hopefully.
Oh, we were all late in our own way. This thing should have come out a week ago. I'm saying that in advance because I'm sure I'm going to put off editing it. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.